target formulations for targeted ailments. And the fact that our program is going to say like, oh, we have 12 stores and let's say they each have 2 or 3 strains each. Some of them are the same that might work for epilepsy. That's not a program. That's a dartboard. Well, I wonder if they'll have my life-saving medicine this month. So it was a lot of things like that. And then another thing I really was excited that we got into the law was I never became a patient, not just because I wouldn't have qualified, I would have later, but you had to give a lot of rights away because of it still being federally illegal. Like if you went into a hospital emergency room and needed an organ if you were dying and you were a medical marijuana patient, they had no hospital code for that. And they would just put you down as a substance user. And if you were a substance user, it would knock you out of being able to get an organ. And that was insane to me. So that was something we got in the bill. And I was very excited we got to do that because, there's some things where you're like, all right, gun ownership, you should be able to own a gun if you want. And that is something else that a cannabis medical marijuana card knocks you out of. There's not other medications that are on the question.
You could get Oxycontin, Vicodin, doesn't matter, run around all day long. And it's still not a gun, but you can't use it for cannabis. Yeah.
Yeah. And so regardless of what anyone's views are on, guns or anything like that, being a patient of any kind shouldn't cost you any rights. That's something I feel. So, the program had a lot to be improved on. We got almost everything we asked for. Something that's still a standout is you can't have cannabis in a hospital. So if you go to an emergency room and that's what you're using, and now you're admitted to a hospital for any significant period of time, you're either sneaking in cannabis or you're cut off from it. And now you have to decide, well, am I going to take the drugs they're giving me too and do this? So that's still pretty ridiculous too, especially when someone's using it for, something like seizure control. Now, I'm using my cannabis under the sheets while the nurse hands me pills.
Sure.
So, that's, but the medical, I've stepped away from the medical a little bit since because the adult use program was just so exciting. I really wanted to get that off the ground because
let's talk about that. So now you have a legal adult use program in a state. Yeah. So can you go to an emergency room and say, I don't have to walk to an emergency room and say I had a beer yesterday?
No, but you can't say I don't want the oxy. I'm just going to drink a beer.
Got it. Gotcha. Crazy. Yeah. I mean, let's talk a little bit more because every state is a little different. Can you go into a little bit of the differences that are happening in New Jersey?